Hello everyone, I've got another page in my bird book for you today, and not only is it a lovely page of tawny owl chicks, but I'm also going to show you how I turned a bit of watercolour paper into this lovely fabric-like texture. Something I've done once before but wasn't successful, and this time I actually made what I was hoping to do. So welcome to Marian's World, and I hope you enjoy the video. Well, today's page is going to be quite an experiment. I wanted to do a partner page to the tawny owl. However, I've ended up going off on a total tangent because I got a log delivery about 2 weeks ago, and all of the bark has come off the bits of log. I was thinking, oh, that'd be lovely. I wonder whether I could stitch that. Well, of course I can't stitch that. It's a bit of bark. But what I have done is I peeled the bark off some of the pieces, and I've had them flattening in some newspaper in a couple of heavy books. And so they've flattened out and they are dry, but they're still flexible. So I think I could be using that. I've also got a powder puff, you know, like people used to put the powder on. That I think is getting used. And then I looked for a little sort of a brownish bit of fabric, and nothing I came up with was as lovely as that grey scarf of doing the owl itself, but the grey was the wrong colour. But I'd been painting my paper and the dirty water was there, and so I dipped the whole grey bit in the dirty water and helped it along with a little bit of acrylic paint. And so that was the bit of grey scarf, which is now this sort of a buff, dirty, yellowy, brownish thing. So that's going to be in. And then the bit I'm going to get on with actually now is, I've heard about this technique a long time ago, and I did have a try once, but it wasn't very successful. And it's a technique called Momigami, which comes from Japan, and it's a way of turning paper into a fabric-like piece of, well, it is still paper, but it acts more like fabric. So I'm going to have another go and see if I can turn this bit of paper into something approaching tree bark. And all it is a bit of my watercolour pad, and I've painted both sides with my acrylic paints, and I put the paint on really thickly without any water, and so it is it's got quite a coating on it. So I'm going to attempt to do this Momigami thing, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, because I've still got these bits of tree bark, and if that doesn't work, I'll just use something else. But I feel like I'm up for experimentation, and it's costing nothing but a piece of paper and some paint and my time, and so hey ho, let's go. So for Momigami, the first thing you do is all to do about crumpling the paper up. And so it's going to take ages, but I'm going to show you the start. So you start by just folding the paper in and crunching it up. Now, I thought about doing it without painting the paper, but I think I'll maybe having to be painting it anyway, I don't know. So once you've crunched it up, you open it up and you crunch it a different way. Sometimes people use water, or sometimes you can use oil to help the paper get soft, but I'm just going to see how I go. And the paint will crack and things will happen, and that's all part of it. This is quite thick actually, because I've used quite thick watercolour paper. It will get easier to do as there's more creases go in the paper. Open it up, and I'll do it again. So if I do this live on video, it's going to be a very long video, so I'm going to come back to you when I've worked on this for maybe about, I don't know, we'll come back after 15 minutes or so and see how it's getting on. I've just carried on squishing it, putting a bit of hand cream on, rolling it, pummeling it onto my table. It's definitely taken about 10 minutes to get it to this stage. The hole wasn't supposed to be here, but it suits my purpose. And that's the back. This is the front of it. And I'm just going to show you how much the paper shrunk. This is the paper as it started. Just put my hand cream away. That's the size of the paper that I started with, and I painted both sides. And this is it now. So it's definitely shrunk by maybe about 1 inch each way, but the difference being that there's the paper and here's the Momigami paper. It's acting more like fabric. It feels like fabric. And so I've got my my finished page measurer, and it will definitely take my finished page. So as long as I can stitch into it, I don't need to put a backing on. So I'm going to use this as my background fabric, because as long as I can mark my finished size, I'll be happy. So I'm actually quite pleased with that. I think anybody else probably wouldn't want the hole in the middle, but I'm making a hole in a tree, and so that's actually serendipitous. So now I'm going to set up, ready to do my stitching. I've sort of organised what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make this look like a hole in a tree. And I looked all over for black fabric. I didn't think I had any, and then I've come across, I have a length of lining fabric, and so that's going to go behind here to be the darkness of the whole of the tree. And because I want this to be the page and I don't really want to stitch this onto that, what I've decided to do is just put this to one side for the moment, and I'm going to hoop up with the lining. I'm going to stitch the owl chicks on the lining, and then I'll stitch the whole thing into the hole. I've got my hoop all set up, and I've just used my white fabric marker to draw on the shape of the owls that I want to get done and where the barring is, just to give myself a chance. And because it was the eyes that I think that I had a problem with before, and doing them a different way, I've cut out some bits of felt, and I'm going to stitch the felt on like that, and then I'm going to cover them with this bit of lining left over, and that'll pad them up a bit, and then I'm going to create the rest of the owl around it. Anyway, that's the idea. I haven't done it before, so we'll just see whether I manage. So I'll just take my thread up through the felt and back down again, so that is kept in. And then I think if I just put the lining over it and stitch down around, I can cut the excess fabric off. So I can feel underneath where the felt is. So I thought again about a button or a bead, but I just would like to get them looking right. I can feel with my fingernail where that felt is, and I'm just going to stab stitch around it so that I've got an eye that is rounded. I'm just going to go straight across to the other one, come up, get my piece of felt and stitch down again. It feels like this is working. I'm just cutting off the excess fabric once it's stitched down. It's all an experiment. I never realised I'd be doing things like this. I've only ever done proper normal embroidery, but it just shows that I'm learning all the time, and I hope by watching my videos you're learning too. We're learning together, which is really cool. got a piece of the glove leather again. I've cut a piece and I'm going to just bend it inwards and stitch it so that I can get a really nice point at the end, and also try and make the beak a good shape. So I'm just going to overcast because this is going to go down to the fabric, so I don't mind what my stitches are going to be, it's more about what shape can I make. Okay, I feel, I'll look at it on the front in a second. Just do one more stitch. Oh yes, I think that can be a good beak. So I'm just going to leave the beak end free again and put the beak where I think it should be. I think about that can get painted because the bottom of the beak's a bit orangey. So I'll paint that right at the very end. Starting my couching, I've cut a piece of the powder puff and it might just be a bit too fluffy, but I'm going to start by couching it on, and I've got wool in my needle because I wanted to keep things fluffy wherever I could. Come up with my thread, let's try and get right into the base. And so what I want is to get this lovely piece of cotton shawl that I've coloured, sort of stripes, bars that go through. Just going to pull pieces of this off and try my best to work them through. Well, that's actually working quite well. Actually, the fabric is helping the fluff to stay on top, so that's really good. This is just a vintage powder puff thing. Just saw it and thought it would be perfect. I think that colour's just right. I think I'll just keep cutting and stitching this bit of painted cotton, and the rugginess of it is working really well. Just folding it up and stitching it back in. I think the threads on that fabric are doing a really good job. I'll just tear it into some pieces. The more rugged it is, the better it's going to work. That's perfect, isn't it? Well, the first owl I'm quite happy with now. I've cut the fluff, I've got the lovely bars in, his beak's coming through and the eyes look perfectly fine. I can put highlights in right at the very end. So I'm about to just put the second owl's body on, and I've realised that I can cut all this fluff once I've stitched it. So I'm just going to try and get his body in first. Who'd have thought a vintage powder puff could have made two baby owls? Just holding it down, come up from the back. And sort of crease it up and stitch back down. So I'm couching the material down and also the fluff at the same time. But these bars on the baby chicks, they sort of come and go, and so I think this is working really well with this cotton. And just crease it up, just twist it round a bit and go straight back down. I hope this is going to work with my Momigami thing. Quite pleased how that came out, because I tried to do it a few years ago. I didn't feel it was successful, and I was like, what's the point of that then? But actually I've got really nice leathery texture today, and maybe that's what I should have had in the first place. Maybe I just didn't do it right last time. Those loose threads are really lovely. I can cut them once I'm done. I'm going to put another row on. Can't quite think how far down my little owl's going to be going, but I'll get him another little row of bars. I think I'll just cut that first. I'll cut the ends of these off. And I'll start to get the head in. I feel I'm almost there with these little chicks. I'm just going to finish the eyes off now by putting the highlight in. And then I think I need some grey stitches through here. But I thought I'd try and just get the eyes, because it's the eyes I had a problem with before. So I'm going to just come up. I've got a double thread of white in my needle. I'm just going to take a tiny stitch and go straight back down. I'm just going to come straight over to this eye and do exactly the same. Just take one tiny little stitch, it's all it needs. And all of a sudden, there they are. Well, they definitely look like they're looking at me now. Maybe I'll use this one, sort of a beigey grey. And I think I'll just use a single strand. So I'll just try and just lay some little stitches in here. While still preserving the fluffy stuff, I want to be able to get some actual stitching in. The eyes are much better, I'm pleased to say. And I think I'll hop straight down to this other bird. Just starts to make definition. I've just about got these little chicks done. I'm still using the single strand of buff thread in my needle, and I'm just going back round making sure everything is stitched down, and that the lines that I've got for the feathers, which you might not see on camera but I can definitely see, I want them all to be following the way the feathers grow. I hope that these two little cuties are going to look nice in my funny paper page, because in the end I've got to do that yet. Actually, I'm quite enjoying stitching this down. I think they do look like little fluffy chicks. I think I'm not going to fiddle anymore. I'm going to just finish this thread off by stitching down through everything, and then I can just leave it. I'm happy with them for now. I'm going to take them out of the hoop and bring my page back in. I'll take some of this excess fabric off because I don't need it all. And then if I put them down, I'll try and bring you in a different angle. You can see what I'm trying to go for. So I'd really like them to be sort of here, like this. But I want more of the, I'm going to curl that inwards, I think, to make it look like the hole in the tree. And just tear that and curl it inwards. And I definitely want to see the black. Maybe I curl that outwards. Maybe that's the sort of thing I'm trying to get. Oh, I love it already. I haven't even stitched it yet. Okay, I'm getting too excited now. It's just what was in my head. Okay, so calm myself, Marion, calm yourself. Right, so I think what I'd like to do is, do I need this in or out? I definitely wanted some of that brown on show. Maybe that's it, like that. Make the whole of the tree. It's wonderful the way the paper's gone. It feels like leather. Want them nestled right down onto the hole. I feel that's what I've gone for. So, stitching's next. I think I need a decent needle to get through it. I decided the first thing I have to do is actually get the black fabric with the owls on actually attached to this. And so I'm using my variegated flower thread in my needle, and I've ended up with quite a big needle, but it's really sharp. And I am just tacking it down where I think I'm not going to see the stitches, just by big long tacking stitches. But because they're in this colour, if they do get seen, it doesn't actually matter. I'm not bothered about all this here because all that can be folded in. It's more important to me to get the owls looking like they're inside the tree. It's a bit of an awkward sew. In the end though, on this, there's not really been anything of a bother. It's just the powder puff and the grey scarf that I've dipped in the paint water, the little padded eyes, and then this Momigami thing, which, as I said, when I did it before, I mustn't have had the right technique, because it has worked this time. I've maybe used too thick of a paper, as I used my watercolour paper, and it is absolutely like sewing through leather. It's not like paper at all. It doesn't even feel like paper anymore. I've been all around it once, so now it's actually one piece of textured fabric-y papery thing. And so this time I'm going to go around and I'm just going to crease up and fold back and stitch down until I think that's as far as I need to go. And I'm not bothered about any white paper because originally I was going to embroider some moss around the hole. I don't think I need to do that. And when I colour his beak, I'm going to just touch some of these with a bit of green or grey, and I think that'll be fine. I think I just don't need to go much further. I do need to get some of these either creased back like that, which is what I think I'm going to do. I can't impress upon you how different it's made the paper, and so easy to do. Anybody can do that. Get a piece of paper and start creasing it up and massaging it with your fingers and putting a bit of hand cream on. It's like so easy to do. You should all be having a practice, and don't give up, because I definitely gave up the first time I did it. I kept thinking, what's the point of that then? But obviously I didn't just quite get it right the first time, and so this time I have. Oh, my poor book, it's going to be all thick again. Never mind. I'm discovering, well, I always knew I liked texture. It's just I'm discovering how much more texture I can actually put on something. That's more the point. I need a nice piece here. I don't know whether to go underneath. Oh no, I'm going to go both ways on this. And then I'm going to pull this back and pull it back again so that it's like the way that the bark rolls up around where the branches come out. It's nice that I can see a little bit of the brown. I thought more of that would come through to the front, but I think it's just practice the technique. I think I'm quite happy with this bit here. Definitely, you'll all have to have a try. You never know what it might let you do. Just putting the final stitches in, and then I'll be able to see how it's come out. I'll still have the painting to do, but I'll get the idea anyway. Do you know what? I can't actually believe I've done that. Wow, I've amazed myself. Okay, paint. I think tends to do the beaks and just do this here. So we need a little bit of orangey brown at the bottom of the beaks. Maybe not quite that much. A little bit. That's it. And the bottom of that one. And maybe I need just a bit of bluey grey at the top. Not much. Try it on that. Just so I take the whiteness off the bit of leather. Just going to lie it like that, so I can just paint in some of the white bits. And I think I'll just start with a bit of green. I don't need to put all the white bits away. I just don't want them to be so obvious. I don't want to make it too green, but it's nice to have something there. I don't want to cover up. I think all of this is quite nice actually. Put it as if it's the underneath bark. I need to hold that up so I can see what I'm doing. Maybe if the paper hadn't torn like that, I'm not quite sure what else I would have done, I suppose. But I definitely don't want those white bits. It's got to look like the inside of the tree or something like that. I don't think I can actually believe that I've done this. I'm quite surprised myself. I thought I was just a sewer, but I think maybe maybe this makes me count as mixed media, which is like, I don't know, I just can't imagine that label for myself. But whatever it is, I just enjoy myself trying to bring these things to life. These blue and pink bits, it's what was painted on the paper before I started with the brown, because I was just using an old bit of paper that I'd been practicing things on. I quite like it actually. I think I'm actually going to count that as done. I think after I struggled with the tawny owl, the babies have redeemed me. I think I'll just say tawny owl chicks done. Well, I hope you really enjoyed that, because I really enjoyed making them. And I actually couldn't believe that I'd made them. When I stood back to look at it, I was a bit taken aback. And for me, it was this was so lovely. So I still have the bit of bark that I was thinking about using, and I might actually see if I can stitch that, because it is still flexible. But this was so lovely, I just went ahead and did what was in my head and put the little owl chicks there. So I know I don't get owl chicks in my garden, but they're there because the tawny owl comes. And so yet another page knocked off the list of the bird book. I think there's only 2 more to go, and then the front and back cover. I probably will work out for finishing around about Christmas time just perfectly for me to start something else in the new year. So I think I know what the last 2 birds will be. Of course I could change my mind, but I think I do know. Oh, what else is happening? Well, it's the linen coat. I now have started, and I've done most of the seams of the skirt of the coat, and I am filming it, so I'll be putting a little bit of that in with something else probably, and eventually doing a full tutorial. But it is going to take me quite a little while. It's not something I can just do straight away, but it is coming on a treat. and you might see some of that next week actually, but I'm not quite sure. So I have another sewing thing for Wednesday, and then a bird book again on Sunday. So I hope you're all enjoying what I'm doing, and thank you very much for watching. And I will just say, please, I always get it wrong, please press the like button if you've liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see what else is going on, and yeah, keep an eye out for what else I'm posting. I think it's going to be a little Christmas present thing on Wednesday, as far as I know. I haven't started it yet, but I think that's what I'm doing. And in the meantime, happy crafting everyone, happy stitching, knitting. Oh, there's knitting coming up. Not quite yet though. Yeah, that's got me sidetracked now on knitting. Anyway, I hope you're all well and having a lovely time in the run up to starting the Christmas rush. There's a Christmas rush now for me. If you're a crafter and you're making things, this is the time when you sort of feel rushed for it, I think. I'll just say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye from Marion's World, everyone.